Hi, Himonshu. Thank you for joining us today at Midday.
My pleasure.
So, my first question is, it's something that I just noticed just now is that, when I met you today, just before we starting the interview, you were constantly moving. It's like you're singing in your head or something is some music is being played in your head. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I don't know if it's music, but I feel like my brain is always on.
Functioning in those
My brain
things.
is always on, and I'm also like, I keep moving my legs. I'm always told like, don't move your legs, So I always have that energy.
Okay. So how does it feel like now? Rachel, became one of the biggest hits, Clef Best Pop Song Award for 22. Did you expect that it will get to that level? What were you feeling at that point of time?
Honestly, I'm always like surprised when these things happen because for me, making music is like an expression. I'm just expressing myself. I'm getting a thought and I want to write about something, so I'm making that music, putting it out. It's basically a reflection of who I am. Like a song like Lechal, of course, for people it's a song, but for me, it's a part of myself. So when it gets that kind of recognition and when it gets an award like that, I feel like I am being accepted, more than just my music being accepted. So it was very overwhelming actually. I was in the flight, I was about to take off when I got the news and I was like super emotional the whole flight. I was like waiting to come back to Bombay.
Okay, it's actually your child. It's like your creation that it came out in the best manner possible.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, So when you say that it's an expression of yourself, and the song Lechal, when you are I don't know, I want to understand when a musician thinks on those lines. When you're thinking of a song or you're trying to write the lyrics, is there a story going on at that point of time when you're thinking about the song and writing? And how much time did you take to work on this?
Time though, it's very hard to say. Like I don't even actually remember. Sometimes some songs get done in like half a day. Sometimes some songs take a month, 2 months. Lechal was a relatively quick process. It actually, funnily enough, started with me playing a ukulele. It started as an English song.
Okay.
And I was playing it, and then the underlying concept was always like take me and don't let go of me. And but then when I put it on the piano and I started singing, तो वो हिंदी में निकलने लग गया.
The feel came out
Yeah,
in
and I said, oh, and then the whole thing just struck me about like how I just want it to be a song talking about escaping with a loved person, someone who can or a loved thing, something that just makes you forget everything in the world. So it was not a story, it was more of a feeling. कि मतलब वो जो आप एक अटक जाते हो ना जिंदगी में कभी इधर उधर like routine में and you're like fried or frustrated and you want to just like let go and like leave. That was the feeling that I was getting when I was writing the song, and that's where the song came from basically.
So you've been a producer mostly, and you've been a part of one of the most hit bands and my first band that I ever attended, Yellow Diary. So tell me about it. When did the idea of coming to sing came to your mind? Like, how did you decide, okay, I also want to sing?
So actually, I've always been a songwriter at heart. And I used to express my songwriting through the Yellow Diary, basically, only. So, like, I was always producing for people outside. But in the Yellow Diary, I would like compose and produce. Rajan Batra is the singer-songwriter in that band. And that is where all my compositional energy was going. But I always wanted to take this solo journey. And my thing was, if I'm doing my own composition, I want to sing it also. Because I am not like a trained, beautiful singer by any means, but it's just that I like to express my own thoughts. Let's put it like that. So it's like when I'm singing, I'm just like saying that ये मैं सोच रहा हूँ इसलिए मैं गा के बता रहा हूँ. It's like that. So it was something that was in my head for years actually, but because of lockdown, I didn't have the excuse of time anymore. I couldn't say कि time नहीं है अब तो time तो था. So I said, chalo, let's do this, So I said, now I have to sit down, start writing the music. And when you first start writing, like, it's like really like average stuff that comes out of your mind, I feel, because बहुत time से वो जंग पड़ा हुआ है. But I just started, and then it was an automatic process since then.
And who was the first person you spoke about it?
Probably my wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she was the first person who listened to the song?
Yeah, she's usually like the first person that hears anything I make, actually. And like she will always hear a song, and even when I'm producing for other clients, usually I will always play her a song and tell her कि what do you feel, क्या लग रहा है मतलब. So she'll say कि
she's like a mentor.
She's my like confidant. and she's my critic. She's my biggest supporter. So, and she has great taste in music, like great taste. She listens to way more music than I listen to. तो मतलब most जो मैं गाने सुनता हूँ वही मुझे भेजती है. It's like that. So I ask her how do you feel and she says कि मेरे को थोड़ा sad लग रहा है something. चलो ठीक है मतलब correct है. I was trying to make something on the sad side. और she says थोड़ा happy लग रहा है. बोला मैं तो sad बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा था तो फिर गड़बड़ हो गया. So that way she's not technical, but she understands the fiber
feel
of the
of
music.
it.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I always play her my music first and see. I always wait कि क्या बोलेगी वो. If she says it's nice, I'm like चलो ठीक है.
Okay, and how did Yellow Diary come into the picture? How did you start with this band? I remember in an interview you mentioned about how you were on a call with this friend who had a proper job, 9 to 5 job, I guess,
Yeah.
and that story.
He came in a little later actually. Basically, Rajan and I started the band. Rajan is the singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
And he was in Bombay and he was looking for good music producers to produce his songs. And there was one common friend we had who introduced us. And she was like, वो पता है कोई लोग ऐसे आते हैं जिंदगी में वो कुछ एक काम करके निकल जाते हैं. So we never met her after that. She just introduced us and she somehow has like gone in her own path. But we met and we were like, you know, we had a great energy, great vibe. And he said मेरे पास ये गाना है मुझे करना है. So I said ठीक है. So he came and he sang the song and I started making a scratch track. And he was like, I love the sound of this. And I said, I also love the song. And that was actually Mars.
Okay.
And we were like, wow, it's damn good. And he said, मेरे पास ना डायरी भरा पड़ा है. I have a lot of songs written. Would you be interested in collaborating? और मैं तभी किसी को हाँ नहीं बोलता था. But I was like, कुछ तो है. ऐसे चल करते हैं. Let's do it. एक YouTube channel बनाते हैं. That was the plan. तो वो वहाँ से फिर कब बैंड बन गया was a different story only. Because like I spoke to Pani at that point. He was working a corporate job. Sahil was a friend of mine for almost a decade before that. In college, we used to play together. He came in to play drums and he got Stuart along to play bass. And then we became a band and that signed to Sony and then it had its own journey. You know, just life happened with the band.
This is like a proper movie story that I can think of, and I am thinking, okay, you can actually look into that as well. It can work out. It can work wonders. And yeah, I mean, so how old were you when you realized, okay, I want to proceed into my career with music, or yeah?
I actually remember quite clearly. There were many stages. So when I was like 15, 16, I think, I don't know, I wanted to do music, but that time of course it was like कुछ पढ़ाई वढ़ाई कर ले, you know, कुछ graduation वगैरह कर ले. So I said, okay, I'll do my engineering. And I used to enjoy the engineering for a point, but by the time I reached my third year of engineering, I realized that I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Especially when in my fourth year, I had a 6-month internship at a company and I got a real taste of what like it is like to work as an engineer in a company, and I realized that I'm not cut out for this. मतलब I will not be the best at this. मैं कर लूँगा लेकिन मैं enjoy नहीं करूँगा life. So I think that's in that fourth year engineering when I joined that company when I realized that I don't want to do this. You know, so I'm very thankful to that internship which I hated because it made me make sure I pursue music actually.
So as far as I can understand, on a very human level, when you're taking such decisions, it's not very easy. You're deciding your career path, and you know this is something I love. I've worked on this, but this is something I've worked on, and then I want to move ahead with something, but I know that I want to do this, but am I sure that 1% of being unsure, okay, finally yahi karna hai.
Correct.
So in that situation, when you spoke to your people, who was your biggest supporter at that point of time?
Oh, my family, my parents and my brother basically. Because this I would say was 2012. So I was not married, my wife was not in the picture, nothing, but my parents, my brother, 4 of us basically used to like discuss this. And my parents were very supportive and they said, you know, you take 2 years and you try. Because I have actually like, our whole family has no connections in the music industry at all. So they were like very clueless कि क्या होता है, कैसे होता है. I was clueless, my brother was to another level clueless only. Because he doesn't even live in India. So, but then they all supported me. They said you take 2 years and you try. अगर नहीं जम रहा है and if you feel like it's not working out, then you have an engineering degree to fall back on. And you've done your graduation. But if you feel like it's working out, then you can continue.
But very pragmatic approach to it.
Yeah, they said, because touchwood, they were like, we are here to support you, you know, to put food on the table. So I'm very blessed like that. to have that support system. And that's what let me just let go and focus 2 years hardcore on like music. And then everyone saw that there was like an upward trajectory and they said कि okay वो कर रहा है और लोग बोल रहे कि अच्छा कर रहा है तो चलो तुम करो. Then there was no turning back after that.
And when did you learn to play all these instruments?
So actually the keyboard is like my weapon of choice, and I started playing as a kid actually when I was like in the 8th standard or something, but it was just like messing around, कुछ random classes कहीं ले लिए and all. And then I learned from Trinity actually. I went to this course and it was more like a home thing. Like I just like crammed the whole 9-year course into like 3 years.
9 years course.
Yeah, it's basically a 9-year course. Like there are 9 exams, but then like because you can do internal exams, I just like kind of crammed it into a 3-year period.
Okay.
So I learned what I could in 3 years, and then I just kind of was like self-teaching myself after that because I don't know. I get bored very fast. Like मैं ऐसे 2 मिनट में बोर हो जाता हूँ तो अगर कोई ऐसे सिखा रहा है ना तो मैं पक जाता हूँ. So I need to like learn myself in a different way. But it's been a good like 10-12 years since I've been like playing. And, yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, because I can imagine when I've seen you play live,
Okay.
and I've seen you how much you enjoy when you're playing.
Yeah.
Not just you, the other members of the band as
Yeah.
well. So I think that makes sense how they have come forward with a team and how they are even individually.
Yeah.
And you're the first person I'm speaking to for an interview.
Right.
So yeah, I am pretty happy with it. And I have a personal question which I would want to take forward with the interview also. My favorite song. I have been listening to Lechul, which is your song, for a very long time. And I even in a gym I'm listening to that.
Oh, wow.
And the song Roz Roz.
Okay.
So how did the song Roz Roz come into the picture? Who started working on it?
Roz Roz is a very interesting story actually. So
And I love the video of the song
video
as
also
well.
is beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Roz Roz actually, I think it released in 2021, but actually there was a small draft of it written a year before that. उसका ना melody भी अलग था, start का same था, बाद में का same था, but the main hook was different. Rajan had made it, and then I bought this instrument at that point, which was like my favorite thing. I bought this like synth, and I was making like a beat on it, and उसपे I made that riff.
So it was an experiment.
Yeah. Basically, I was just playing and I made a beat. It wasn't कि ये Roz Roz के लिए मैं बना रहा हूँ or something like that. It was just an experimental beat I was making. It was that the way the song opens, and I showed it to the boys. I showed it to Stuart and Rajan, and I was like, "See, I was making this." I was like, "हाँ ठीक है," and they were like, "नहीं bro, what is that? Play it again." So I said, "You liked it so much, what?" They said, "हाँ stop." So I said, "Okay." So I played it, and they said, "This is damn good, bro." And Rajan said, "Arey Roz Roz," like he started singing Roz Roz on top of that, basically.
It just
And he was like, it just blended. The only thing that was a little different was the actual hook. You know, that was the newer part of the song. It was a different hook before.
Okay.
But to fit into the song, we made this new hook, and the song was always about a conversation between two people. It's about, even though it's a very like uplifting and very chill track, but it's actually about like a
it's a serious song actually. When you watch the video, you understand
Correct.
it all the more. And if you focus on the lyrics.
Yeah, it's about a miscommunication or a lack of communication between a couple, and that's why we were like, we want someone else to come and sing the girl part. We want to collaborate with another female singer. And Sony was like, do you want to like work with Shilpa Rao? And we were like,
who would not?
do you want to? Means of course. And she was a legend, man. She was beautiful to work with. She was like so good. She just did a great job, and that's how it happened.
You know, I'll share a personal experience in regards to the band. I just shifted to Bangalore for work, and I wanted to live alone, spend time alone with myself, and then that's suddenly the song. I started listening to the Yellow Diary.
Okay.
And it was just a phase when, you know, I was listening to indie songs or indie bands or individuals in those lines. And I remembered I was constant these Yellow Diary songs, and it was an everyday thing, everyday morning thing. I'm going for a walk, I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
I'm at home at night just sitting in the balcony and I'm listening to it. So, you know, indie bands are coming into the scene a lot.
Right.
It's individual singers.
Yeah.
What's working out for them? What do you think? Because for them, you know, they are also like maybe actors or producers or directors, not everybody has that connect like you also into the industry.
Right.
You've actually taken the experience, you worked on yourself, and you've produced you've produced your own creation, and that has worked wonders for you and for the people because they have loved it. What is it that works out for them the most? Of course, it's their creation, but the connection that that you need to build. What is the big easiest thing? First, creativity that comes. Remember, second thing that something that you can think of which is different for indie bands.
I think the main thing that works for independent musicians is originality. Honestly, what happens is when you are sitting in your room by yourself as an artist you or whoever is making the music, and you have a thought which is your own thought कि मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है और उसमें मैं गाना बना लूँगा. वो आपका गाना है, आपका thought है. It's very fresh, it's very original. And I think that's what really works for independent musicians, is that everyone has their own thought. So if you listen to a catalog of like independent music, of course everyone's inspired from everyone, so there is a similarity in like the way tracks sound and this and that, but it's very original. Everyone is doing their own thing, and I feel like there's a lot of discovery for even listeners कि अरे ऐसे भी गाने बनते हैं और अच्छा ऐसे भी होता है, because otherwise you're used to a certain trend in certain places. So I think originality works the most, and also the onset of streaming platforms like Spotify and Instagram and all these things, discovery has become so easy that it's much easier to discover newer music. नहीं तो पहले it's like आपके फेस में अगर ये गाना दिखाएगा तो आप वही सुन पाओगे, या तो स्टोर फ्रंट में वही पोस्टर है तो आप वही सुन पाओगे. बट नाउ इट्स लाइक people can dive deep, go to an indie playlist and see कि अरे ये कौन है, उसका कौन सा गाना है, अच्छा मैं let me listen to this, and oh I really like this song, so then it's like that. So everyone can find the audience a lot easier now. I think that's really working for independent musicians right now.
Okay, and what do you think is that one thing which is difficult for them?
I think honestly financials are like difficult in the independent music space yet, because everyone of course relies on like shows to make their revenue, and it's a bigger hustle, and marketing music costs a lot of money eventually. So also making a music video sometimes, and so I think that is a bigger challenge that I have noticed, I've experienced when I work with independent musicians outside also. Like I produce for a lot of independent non-film artists as well, do their songs, because I want to like make sure that independent musicians also have like as good production quality as I can offer. And a lot of them have this main issue, like how do I spend on marketing and video and artwork and this.
Correct.
So I think that is one of the bigger challenges. But I think it'll change. Indie music is really on the rise, and the money is also like really pouring into the scene, so it should be fine.
Okay, when you speak about concerts, are we going to see your solo concert anytime soon? Are you trying to work on it?
I actually am. I have a proper plan to make a live concert. As of now, I'm just focusing on putting more music out there. Because when I have a concert, I want to have enough songs out there that I can actually perform. So right now I'm focusing my energy on like putting out like a few more songs, and once I have a few more songs, then I'm going to stitch a concert around it. But it's definitely on the cards, hopefully.
Are you trying to work on an album for that?
I am also working on something, yes.
Okay. And who is your favorite independent musician?
I actually am in absolute love with this artist called Siddharth Pandit.
Okay.
And he is, I don't know how you can fit that much talent into one human being, but he is just blessed. I mean, he is so good at what he does. His music is beautiful, and if you watch him play the keys, it's like effortless, so I feel like I really like his music.
Which is that one song that you've been listening to, or is it's on the loop for you right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
There's actually this song called Wallflower by this artist I found called Double Camp. I just found them on Spotify. The artwork was beautiful. It was just like a pixel drawing, and it's about an introvert but when he meets like this girl, like he opens up and he like starts to bloom as a wallflower. But it's a beautiful song, and when I first heard it, I was like, okay, not bad. And then I heard it second time, third time, fourth time, and then I was hooked. And I've been listening to that for the last 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds interesting. I mean, I'll check that out. Now, if you tell me, you produce songs. You've been into that part of production for songs of music or movies.
Right.
Sorry, for movies like for Kesariya, for the song Bedardeya from Tu Jhoothi Main Makkar. You were into the production for the song Kho Gaye for Taruk Raina.
Right.
I did not know until you put up that Instagram story. Okay, oh really? This is the connection. Then I'm glad that this is good. This is going good.
Right.
Like if you think from that angle, when you see that musicians are coming together, who would have known that Taruk Raina, the actor, is only singing it?
Yeah, and he's so good.
He's good. And
not only singing, he's composed it also. He's written it as well. Yeah.
And the video came out later, the music video of it. So that also turned out very great.
Yeah.
So how has that journey been like, producing songs in those lines?
That's been a beautiful journey. I feel like I put a lot of like work into the first many years of, like when I came into the scene, I didn't know the difference between a mono and a stereo track, which is like a very basic thing. And I was like a completely blank book. So I invested all my energy in just practicing. Just work, practice, learn in your free time, or sit on YouTube and try to understand kya chal raha hai. And going from there to actually like working with people, and then I feel it's a snowball effect. Because then you do like work, and then people hear that work, they like that work, and then they want to come and work more with you. And it's kind of been like that for me. I've never been the kind of guy who will like go out and ask, okay, can I work, can I not? Because I was not that confident also, honestly. So I used to be like, pata nahi main kar paunga ki nahi. But I've been blessed. I've met like the right people in my journey who've trusted me. And now with like Preetham sir coming into it, and like Taruk and I had met like some many years back, and
really?
Yeah. We met a few years back.
So you, sorry to interrupt you, but you knew that he sings and he writes?
Yeah, absolutely. He had his first ever writing session in the studio with me, actually.
Okay,
and he was writing work on this song which he was going to put out many years back, which never saw the light of day. It's not come out yet. But so Taruk and I knew each other, and like so all these kind of relationships just built into like beautiful working relationships as well. And I feel like once you have enough work out there and people appreciate your work, then they want to also kind of work with you and explore that idea, So I'm always very happy because I love meeting people. I love like connecting with musicians because every musician is so different, And like Preetham sir's work style, composition is something totally different. Sachin Jigar is something totally different. Taruk is something totally different, and it's a blessing, and it's a great thing because I learn a lot from everyone, and then I also get to apply that to my own music and everything. So it's been insane. It's all like, yeah.
So I'm again asking this question, that a future kind of question. So are you also like, will we get to see you producing a whole album of a movie? Like, how exciting do you feel that would be for you?
That sounds pretty exciting. I mean, I haven't like thought of it, to be honest. But if it happens, then that's that. I feel like my thing is I want to keep making good music. So if an opportunity presents itself to me to make an album for a film, but I'm allowed to retain my originality and who I am, then I'm happy to do it. But if I'm made to be someone else, then I probably wouldn't do it.
Okay. And who is your favorite music producer from the industry?
I've always really looked up to A.R. Rahman, and I feel like it would be a dream to like work with him also one day, because I just find he's somehow always ahead of his time. It's always like he's like got this amazing blend of like when I've grown up, my favorite music was like A.R. Rahman's music. So I think
Okay. And your favorite song by A.R. Rahman?
My favorite song. Oh wow. There was that movie Swades, and they had that. That was like one of my favorite songs. Lukka Chuppi.
From Rang De
Basanti. Dil Se. I mean, yeah, just.
Rosa. You can't choose one.
Yeah, so many. Like all of them are just brilliant.
Okay. All right, Himonshu, thank you for joining us today. And I think it was my pleasure as well that, I got to have this chat with you. And I'll see you at the concerts.
Yes.
And we'll see you again and again on Midday.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.